What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Rurouni Kenshin. I think this is 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is episode 17, and with me as always I have Lisbeth.
Yeah. So, well, the episode pretty much concludes the whole Raijuda story arc. Pretty much picking up immediately after the events of the last episode, where um, what was it? Utaro get gets injured in the, I guess injured in in the fight between Kenshin and Raijuda, where Raijuda uses this whatever his air slashing ability he uses to end up cutting you know, Yu Yutaro's arm, which basically just causing him to, uh, you know, render his right arm useless and preventing him from practicing swordsmanship in a way. So Kenshin decides to just pretty much confront Raijudo once and for all, and pretty much the fight went the way I expected. It's just most of the time Kenshin just most of the time tries to dodge Raijuda's attacks. Well, and then of course during the fight, Raijuda ends up bragging at least a couple times whenever he hits Kenshin, but Kenshin ends up calling him out, pretty much saying that Raijuda has never really actually really killed a person in battle before, and this pretty much.
Yeah, because his sword doesn't it only slashes people, and it can't. He doesn't really I guess aim to kill them.
Yeah, and this, of course, sets off Raijuda, which causes him to act and attack erratically, to the point where Kenshin eventually takes advantage of this and just basically just finishes him off by using the sheath of his of his Sagabodo to basically just finish him off.
Yeah, he launches the sheath at his face, and then he just I guess just hits him with the hilt of his sword.
Yeah, and this of course leads into the next scene in which we see what was it, Utaro and his father. Uh, actually, mostly Utaro's father speaking to Kenshin and pretty much saying that that they're planning on to move to Germany along with his son. Pretty much, I guess, to get look into some medical practice to help heal his arm, but in the process, forget about swordsmanship and while they're there, and and throughout in near the end of the episode, we see Yutaro's, of course, a little bit despondent due to the fact that his arm is crippled. So just when he's about to leave with his father on his trip to Germany, Yahiko engages against him by swinging his bamboo sword against Utaro, which he eventually just blocks it with his left hand instead. And Utaro, of course, uh, s- strikes back at Yahiko, saying that even though his right arm's injured, he'll still use his left hand and still, in a way, practice his own version of swordsmanship.
Yeah, so Yahiko kind of motivates him in a way to keep pursuing swordsmanship, because otherwise, I guess he said he would give up on it, um, and he should just continue to be motivated by thinking of who he thought Raijuda was and not who he actually is.
Yeah. And yeah, and that's pretty much the entire episode. But of course, there is a post-credit scene that takes place after this, in which we see Raijura finding an old woman and her grandchild praying at I guess you could say it's a Buddhist statue. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, he wants to kill them just to prove that he has the willpower to to kill someone.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to imply in a way that Raijuda possibly has changed because of because of his encounter with Kenshin. Um, but I don't know. I guess it's possible he might show up again, because it seems like they also imply that Utaro might actually show up again later on too.
Yeah, but
Um,
that would possibly take years for him to come back from a trip to Germany.
yeah, I guess unless there's some kind of a time skip or something at some point.
Yeah, I mean, overall, this is an okay story arc, but I don't think it was as good as as the previous arc with, you know, with
Unreal.
the whole stuff with Megami and and the no and what was it, the whole opium story arc. But this one, I think it was the last 3 episodes. I think were just mostly filler in a way, and
I mean, they did say they're trying to more faithfully, I guess, adapt the manga. So I see what you mean though by saying it probably is filler. I guess you would say like filler, quote unquote, in the manga as well, because it's just kind of probably just meant to take up time before maybe so that the creator could come up with the next arc or something. So he just like maybe threw something in there.
yeah,
Uh, but it does kind of feel that way
yeah,
after having seen this. I mean, it wasn't bad, even though it does kind of feel like it's filler. It doesn't feel like necessarily bad filler. It's just okay. Um, but yeah, I kind of agree. It feels very much like it's not really that important. Like it's just like a character that shows up and then kind of leaves again and doesn't really leave a, a much of a lasting impact on the plot. Because he just shows up for this arc and then they leave. But I mean, I guess you could say that about some of the other characters and some of the other arcs as well. But this one felt really like it felt more like, if anything, kind of just a distraction and just like you said, just again like filler content.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, again, it was okay. I kind of expected this episode to be like the last episode of this particular arc. Um, I mean, like, and it ended in a way I think a lot of us kind of saw coming, where Kenshin, of course, is going to just step in and pretty much easily take down Raijuda. As we've seen, Kenshin probably wasn't going to have any much trouble with Raijuda, and even more so after it's revealed that Raijuda hasn't even killed anybody. Whereas Kenshin was kind of comparing himself to Raijuda, saying a murderous sword is a sword that's been used to actually like kill countless people, and he can tell that Raijuda doesn't have a murderous sword because he's never killed anybody. So yeah, I mean, once they kind of reveal that, you already know that it's going to be a pretty one-sided fight. Like Kenshin's going to pretty easily win. Even though like earlier in the fight it was pointed out that he could only really like dodge around his attacks, but of course he eventually ended up finding an opening anyway. So you didn't really feel like Kenshin was really going to lose that fight.
no.
Um,
I
yeah,
I mean, it's possible that Raijira might come back at a future story arc, maybe working with someone to take Kenshin down later. But it just,
yeah,
I don't know. It just this story arc kind of feels a little bit inconsequential uh, over the bigger story arcs that are coming up. Most likely by next week's episode, or soon after this. I'm not really sure.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, I just felt like the episode was just breezed by really quickly, and it sort of ended off like mostly in a predictable fashion, knowing that Kenshin is able to take down Raijuda with his skill set. As not to mention that he is the former Batosai, and he's more experienced as a swordsman than Raijuda was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, once it was revealed, like that Raiju had never actually killed anybody, I already kind of knew, like, yeah, well, it was over, because we know that Kenshin has experience actually killing people, and that he's pretty much holding back, so as not to actually kill anybody.
Mhm.
Um, and even then, he would easily take down Raijuda, whereas Raijuda is actually trying to kill. Well, I mean, not really trying to kill people, but at least trying to make people think he could kill them, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.